am Mary Stein with your East Baton Rouge Parish Library, and I'm here as part of the All Hazards Recovery Plan public meeting series that are taking place at libraries throughout October and November. These listening sessions that are taking place throughout the parish give our residents an opportunity to basically brainstorm based on their own experience, what they themselves experienced or what they witnessed. Because of course, in the most recent disaster, the Great Flood of 2016, if 1 in 3 flooded, the other 2 out of 3 knew someone who flooded or helped someone who flooded and were certainly impacted in some way. Businesses were impacted, schools, homes, neighborhoods, that whole sense of community. Everything is connected. So here's your chance to come in and share from your experience what worked, what didn't work, what you wished had happened differently, whether it was some form of communication or some input from the government. Who were you hoping to get some help from that you were surprised that you didn't? Who did you receive help from that you were delightfully surprised, and we'll go back to them next time. So now's the chance to share from your experience, because we are all in this together. It really is a case of stone soup. We all have to bring what we can to the plan. There is a happy babble of input going on in that room as people are working their way through the various stations. We have 6 stations that basically talk about 6 ideas. For example, housing after a disaster, social concerns after a disaster, the infrastructure. And many of these things blend together, and it's okay to have the same question or the same answer for some of them. But basically, this is our opportunity to pose the question and do a little brainstorming about some answers. We hope to reach the entire parish, East Baton Rouge Parish, and that's why the public meetings have been scattered throughout the parish, from the topmost corner at the Zachary Branch Library to down here at the Bluebonnet Regional Branch. And of course, there's many other ways for people to get in touch. We love that hashtag BResilient. Red Stick Ready has that wonderful app, and of course, library staff can help you download that app. It's an easy to download app. It is a free app, and our Mayor's Office of Emergency Preparedness has rolled out a whole suite of products related to being Red Stick Ready. So the app is just one way. It's kind of like your one-stop shop for information after a disaster, and we are encouraging people all over the parish to front load that effort, be prepared. Go ahead, download that app now, and hope you never need it.
So we're really happy to host these community meetings at the library. We've been deeply involved. Mary, Patricia, and I have attended subcommittee meetings and been contributing to the work that the Mayor's Office of Homeland Security and the Mayor's Office is doing in this area. FEMA is very deeply involved in this because the model that's beginning to develop here, they're looking at also being perhaps a model for other communities. And one of the things that they've discussed is that we're really far along in looking at our immediate recovery process and refining that and getting it better, because we've had some opportunities to learn some really great lessons over the last decade. But one of the important things that they want us to focus on is resiliency and long-term, not just immediate recovery, but long-term community resiliency. How do you do the kinds of things that will help mitigate a disastrous situation in the future, lessen the impact on your citizens and your community, and what kinds of things do you have in place so that you can, as quickly as possible, begin to get people who do experience loss and damage, get them into a recovery mode. So I think this is a really great thing. I think it's interesting that once again, our city parish is doing some groundbreaking work in this area.
I am the disaster recovery liaison for the City of Baker. That's one of the many hats that I wear. And I am so happy to be here today. Participating in the All Hazards Recovery Plan. Baker was one of the cities that, after the 2016 flood, we actually did our own strategic recovery plan. So we had to go through a lot of the same things that the parish is going through now, and so we welcome them. And one of the things that one of two things that we kept in mind as we had our steering committee meetings is, what does resiliency mean? Resiliency means being able to bounce back from either a flood or a hurricane, being very resilient to bounce back from whatever has affected you. I'm really glad that the mayor and her team is coming to Baker and some of the other areas to collaborate with us with the plan that we've done. Well, I'm a Louisiana girl myself, so I grew up in Donaldsonville in Ascension Parish, but I love the state. Louisiana is very hospitable. We have the best food, and I mean, every state or every area, Louisiana may be prone to flooding, or there may be a lot of flooding, but the best part about that is being prepared. If you're not prepared, and that's with anything, whether you're living in Louisiana, whether you're living in California, New York, it's all about preparedness. I think the best part is the end result. You have that plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're just all over the place. So having that plan is very important.
The impact. I mean, it's really good.
Tonight is a meeting to ensure the citizens that their voices will be heard and that action will be taken to address those concerns that they would like to see in the recovery process, and that all and everyone is important, and that we need to work together as a team. And as a public official, I will do my part to inform my constituents about tonight and to remind them and encourage and motivate them to be patient, that their concerns have been heard.
I've been involved in the recovery since the 2016 flood here in Baker. And when I saw the information about this East Baton Rouge Parish recovery, I said I had to come and be a part of it. And I really enjoy the fact that the city is taking a parish-wide look at recovery and all the economic side of recovery. I think it's a wonderful thing, so we can be more prepared the next time when and if a disaster occurs. We can't underestimate the mental aspect of what individuals have gone through the disaster, and that we have to continually look at those individuals and make sure that they still get the services needed. Opportunities like this is very important because you get a chance to tell them what your concerns are, and they take it seriously. It was just a wonderful experience with FEMA to go through the process. But through that process, what we want to see is action. And tonight is about action, where they're making those plans, and the funds have been allocated. That's the other great part about it, is that funds have been allocated, and you know that they can be put to good use. And the community has an opportunity to give their perspective on how it should be used. And so they're going to take that information and go back and say, this is what the community wants. They've gone through it. So it's very, very important for that to happen. And every aspect of the community should get a benefit from this recovery.
We are here today looking at ways in which we can be more preventative in terms of displacement of people as a result of hurricanes and inclement weather of various types. And so I'm specifically promoting a mega shelter. Several years ago, Louisiana proposed through Homeland Security and FEMA to have 3 mega shelters in Louisiana. Currently, there's only one, and that's located in Alexandria, Louisiana. Nowhere in the South Louisiana, do we have such a shelter. And we had a shelter back when Katrina hit, then thousands of people would not have been shipped across the United States. They could have they could have been appropriately housed in a mega disaster shelter had we had one in Louisiana. We need such a shelter to deal with the homeless, to deal with people that are displaced, regardless of income, regardless of employment. It's needed to provide a significant comfort of life that they couldn't get elsewhere. This is such a meeting here where the city, the university, the federal state government are all reaching out and listening to what the community has to say. And we then would take their ideas, bring them back, digest them, and come up with a plan that would better serve the needs of all. And that's what it's all about.
We were asked to be part of this committee to try to bring the community to be more aware of the type of hazards that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. But most of the ones we deal with are major events like hurricanes and storms and heavy rains. And these are the type of programs we want to look at, how we can try to be more resilient and what we can plan for the future in this parish. Here gives you a chance to be a one-on-one and listen and ask the questions. I think that's critical because public involvement is important. I mean, because it's not all about what we think is the problem. It's more important to find out what do they think and what are their suggestions. Certainly they may not always be where we can get to be, but I think all the input we get is very important for the community because then we're looking at people's involvement, and I think we need more of that in today's world because sometimes it's always somebody else's problem, and I don't see it that way, and I know the mayor does. She wants to get community involvement, and that's what we intend to do. I think this is a good program for this community. We have a good plan. I think the city of Baton Rouge is very fortunate. I think the people of the parish believe that we do have a good response to emergencies. The question comes in is after the response movement is how we get back to where we need to be and get to quality of life as quickly as possible. And those are some of the suggestions that we hear from people, and I think it's very, very positive.
I'm here to learn about what the community is involved in terms of their resilience and the recovery. The reason for me coming here is the area of research that I work on at LSU, which is related to the rebuilding of resilient infrastructure against especially hurricanes. Part of it also is earthquakes. But I'm more involved now with hurricanes and how they impact all type of infrastructure and what can we do in terms of mitigation. And in case we rebuild, we don't want to rebuild the same type of infrastructure again and again. And the reason for that is climate change. We are seeing type of hurricanes that we never seen before in terms of intensity. If you look what happened because of Hurricane Michael in Florida, this is kind of a giant tornado. So what we are thinking of now is how can we rebuild what our infrastructures that we have now will respond to future climate change. We want to rebuild, but not the same way. We want to rebuild based on knowledge, so that the future, our infrastructure will stay.
In recent years, hurricanes, floods, and chemical disasters.
I think everyone is excited when we break down silos and work cooperatively. Everyone has expertise, everyone has the dedication, but oftentimes we aren't always in conversation with each other, in communication. So this effort has done a great job, I think, of connecting connecting the organizations, stitching together those bonds of cooperation and partnership, and that's going to serve us well when, while we hope it doesn't happen, we know another disaster is likely to happen, and we want to be ready so that we can respond and do the best that we can for the citizens of Baton Rouge. Anytime we have an opportunity to hear from the community and interact and touch with them, let them know what's going on, I think it's a win.
I work for the Center for Planning Excellence, and we're involved in writing the recovery plan for Baton Rouge. We're a private nonprofit that works at multiple scales. We work at the local level, we work at the regional, statewide, all the way down to just a site plan for maybe a campus. We work in the field of resilience and adaptation, for dealing with coastal issues, trying to adapt to rising sea levels and land loss and on the coast. But as that happens, it drives people away from the coast, and people are moving elsewhere. And so where are they putting down, and how are we ensuring that they're not at high risk in the future there as well? There's pretty good turnout tonight. You look around at the boards, and there's quite a few Post-it notes and a lot of ideas coming from the community.
We are here tonight. East Baton Rouge Parish is doing a recovery plan, and we with FEMA have been asked to assist. So we are using our expertise on the national level to assist East Baton Rouge Parish set up a recovery plan for their parish based off of the federal guidelines from FEMA. So as a result of the 2016 floods, FEMA came in with the National Disaster Recovery Framework, and we assisted communities that were considered to have the highest impact from the flood and the lowest ability to recover. So those communities that we went in and did long-term recovery plans for were Baker, Tangipahoa, and Denham Springs. And so during that time, East Baton Rouge Parish was also identified. So through the process, it's been a couple of years, and EBR at this point last year came and said, hey, we're ready for you guys to assist us in our recovery planning efforts. And so we gathered a team of 4 of us, and we are here to assist EBR in carrying out this process. I am original to Baton Rouge. I am from here. I'm a local girl, and I actually was impacted by the 2016 flood myself, so it's been very exciting for me to be able to come in and assist my own community in developing a recovery plan. So I'm really excited about this process. I think tonight was good. I was really excited to see the children involved and see the artwork, and so I feel like, first of all, children in a room always lift spirits, and I smile whenever I see kids, but also giving the children input into this process and letting them know that their voice matters and that we care as adults what they think is always helpful. And as they grow up, I think that they'll remember that they were a part of this process.
I just saw a young lady put on our community planning and capacity building board. It said, how can we make our community more resilient? And she said, listen to young people. You know, our young generation, I really believe that they're going to change the world. They have so many great ideas. They love their community, they love their home, and they really have some good input tonight.
We're talking about how we can make the world a better place.
I'm here to talk about what we should do to make Baton Rouge a better place to live in.
I like how they offer to hear our thoughts and put them on the board so they can look at it later.
I wrote to listen to the youth because we have a lot of ideas for the community, and it can bring a fresh mindset to how things have been in Baton Rouge.
I'm here because some people still are in their houses, and it's important that they get recovered.
Hello, my name is Tavion Fairley. I'm a student of McKinley Middle Magnet School and a citizen of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And in some ways that we can make our communities better from after the flood is come together, help each other out, look out, and volunteer with things as much as we can.
One of the things that I really love about my agency and about our emergency management agencies is that we really love what we do. And we are committed to the people that we serve. And I'm really excited about the feedback that we're getting. And I know that we're going to huddle after this and look at our after-action reports and see how we can better do this initiative.
I'm here to help support response support function number 3, which is Health and Social Services, and I'm here to actually answer questions about services in the area, and also see what kind of needs are present in the community. What we see a lot of times is sometimes they're the services that are needed the most are the ones that people don't want to talk about. Those that are counseling services or needs for kids to kind of just recover. I mean, this area has been through a lot of natural disasters, and we talk a lot about individual preparedness and how folks can actually contribute to their own readiness and preparedness to make sure that those needs are met. You know, I'm really surprised. I mean, this is my fourth community meeting. What surprises me is the resiliency of people. You either are very self-determined and you go through struggles. You really need to have a constant support to help you really, truly recover. I also think it's really interesting when you look at people are thinking outside the box. It's not just about individual preparedness. It's about also making sure that people are aware of other special needs. I feel really, really proud. I'm really excited to be able to contribute my knowledge and also help facilitate ideas, but also linking people to services is probably the biggest blessing for me, because I think you don't really know how much you need that service until it actually happens, and it kind of like is going through a maze and not really know what the other end is. And so making that very user-friendly and being able to be there to be an expert to talk to them about what their specific need is and to guide them to the best direction is probably the greatest achievement I think that it has brought home for me to be a part of this project.
This is an effort to bring the community together. We're developing a strategy for recovery, and that's working into an operational plan. And so this effort is to get the community in to look at what we've put together so far and to get their input. So the overall goal is to have a integrated plan that's whole community. So we'll have 6 recovery support functions. And we're looking at that. We're hoping the whole effort will allow us to recover faster. So the faster we recover in East Baton Rouge Parish, the less tax dollars we have to spend. So it's really about, managing not only the disaster, but as it moves into short-term, mid-term, and long-term recovery, we're prepared for that. Just geographically where we're located in Louisiana, disasters happen. We call ourselves the disaster laboratory. And again, it's going to happen again at some point. Just statistically, we know we have different threats, we have different consequences, but nevertheless, we are prepared. We're here to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of East Baton Rouge Parish, and we take that very seriously. So part of this effort is to get a recovery plan together so we can help our citizens recover faster and stronger and be more resilient.
Baton Rouge residents are no stranger to disasters. In recent years, hurricanes, floods, and chemical disasters have impacted communities throughout the parish to the estimated tune of $18 billion in damages, more than 150,000 homes destroyed, and tragically, 15 lives lost. Yet, Baton Rouge is not defined by its losses, but rather by its strength and determination to quickly recover and build back stronger. By becoming more resilient, East Baton Rouge Parish is not just prepared to survive another major event, but are poised to adapt to ever-changing conditions and thrive. The dictionary defines resiliency as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, a toughness. We know our community is tough, but we are wanting to know how East Baton Rouge Parish defines resiliency. We're looking to you, Baton Rouge, to assist us in developing an all-hazards recovery framework that works for East Baton Rouge Parish. During my State of the City Parish address in January, I announced an initiative to develop and adopt an all-hazards community recovery plan for East Baton Rouge Parish. My vision for recovery planning is to follow guidelines set forth by the Federal Emergency Management Agency's FEMA National Disaster Recovery Framework. Planning efforts are ongoing and are intended to incorporate all 4 East Baton Rouge Parish municipalities as well as the unincorporated areas of the parish. The parish recognized the need for such a plan in 2016 and began collaborating with our partners and key stakeholders to make it a reality. The planning process will help us document guidelines and best practices to be used during the recovery phase of disasters and emergencies of all size, defining roles and responsibilities amongst local, state, and federal partners. If a disaster were to affect our community, East Baton Rouge Parish wants to be ready, Red Stick ready. East Baton Rouge Parish and its public safety partners want to have plans in place to not only prepare for and respond to an emergency, but also a framework that will guide our community's recovery efforts. Whether disaster comes in the form of fires, floods, or a man-made hazard, the collaborative efforts by the parish's Office of Emergency Management, multiple parish agencies, and key stakeholders, as well as East Baton Rouge Parish municipalities, we envision a tangible document that can be used by all. This unified planning initiative will help us build a better East Baton Rouge Parish, one parish that is more resilient than ever before. Beginning next week, my office, in coordination with the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, MOSEP, will be hosting public outreach meetings within our community. Our vision is to engage our whole community while gathering feedback on what recovery means to our residents, as well as how they define resilience. These public outreach meetings are a critical component to our planning process, as we want to ensure that we capture the thoughts and feelings of our entire community. As we all share one common mission to protect and serve the health, safety, and well-being of East Baton Rouge Parish, we invite each of you to join us on our journey to restore, redevelop, and revitalize resiliency for our parish. We look forward to seeing each one of you, your families, children, friends, and neighbors as we continue our mission of integrating national standards into local community resiliency. Together, we can be BResilient.
We are BR Resilience.